Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Process. Today, I have my main man, super entrepreneur, Joe Gigiletti, with us today. He's going to share with us, guys.
I even wear the T-shirt, man.
Woo! About mindset and vision. And here we go, guys.
Good thing most people say, damn, he's got a process.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Process.
Damn, he's got a process.
So, Joe, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Hey, everybody. My name's Joe, and I am a third-generation real estate guy who fell in love with marketing. And this year, we're on process to close $1 billion in transactions in real estate, primarily from Facebook ads.
Wait, did you just say $1 billion?
Billion with a B. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah. So the other thing, I'm married, got 3 great kids. One of my kids at 10 started her first business, went door to door, made $20,000 selling her book door to door, and now travels the country, not the world, speaking. She shared the stage with Tony Robbins, Chicken Soup for the Soul authors. She's done reality shows with Russell Brunson, and yeah, she loves business too. She's a kid entrepreneur. And this last week, we just announced that she's in a bid and trying to purchase Toys R Us out of bankruptcy. So, yeah, we believe in vision around my house.
Go big or go home, right?
That's right. That's right.
She's not trying to buy a toy from Toys R Us. She's literally trying to buy Toys R Us.
Yeah, for a couple $1 billion. Yeah.
Where did she get this stuff from, Joe?
She was reading, she had an e-commerce store, and we saw that Toys R Us went out of business, so we started researching to see maybe we could get the Toys R Us name, and she could take that over. And then she started looking at their financials, and she's like, what were they doing? That was so dumb. They should have blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, we could still buy it out of bankruptcy. She said, we can? I said, yeah. She said, how do we do it? I said, let's call your attorney, see if he's interested, right? Picked up the phone, started making some connections, and before you know it, we started working the deal.
That's awesome, man.
Listen, here's what people need to know, David. I mean, I'll just kick it off from the very beginning. You live in the most abundant time that's ever existed in the history of humanity. The technology and the possibilities for you to go anywhere, meet anyone, connect with anyone, and accomplish anything has never, ever even been close to what it is right now. And most of us are wasting it by still living ordinary lives. It's time. Like, wake up. Let's go do something big. Let's make a massive difference. Because my daughter said it this way. We were driving down the road one day, and she was selling her books, and we were going door to door when I told you she sold her 20,000. And we were talking about her business plan, and I said to her, and after that, the sky's the limit. She kind of looked at me. She was 11 at the time. She looked at me. She said, why would you say the sky's the limit when there's footprints on the moon?
Ooh.
And I was like, ding, right? I'm like, no, she didn't, right? And so that's her whole thing now, footprints on the moon. She talks about it in her speeches and stuff like that. And the point she makes is, look, people like Elon Musk who have vision are working on things to try and get to Mars, right? Meanwhile, stuck in our language and in our thinking and the way we operate and the way we set our expectations of ourselves, we're like, the sky is the limit. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been in the sky since what, 1910, 1920, right? It's been 100 years we've been in the sky, and that's been our limits. That is long since past. We're working on Mars now. So if your thinking is still limited to the limitations of thought that were from 1920s language, then you're still stuck in sky thinking. Some of you have went a little bit farther, and you're shooting for the moon, right? Hoping you fly, and now you're in moon thinking, and now you're only in 1960, right? We're in 2018 now. People are trying to get to Mars, so it's time to shift from sky thinking or moon thinking to Mars thinking.
That's deep. Let that sink in for a little. Let's take 5 seconds, take a deep breath, and just let that marinate for a bit there. My man wants to go to Mars, and I love it.
And everybody challenges him on it, right? Like, he started making the spaceships, because I'm right there. I live right by there at Cape Canaveral. And so he started this whole spaceship company, and it was like, okay, in order to do this, we have to be able to like make spaceships take off and then land. And it's like, well, nobody's ever done that before. And he's like, who cares? I'm going to do it. And then like his first 5 fail, and everybody's making fun of him and telling him it can't happen, and he's an idiot and stuff like that. And you know what happens now? Every single ship that takes off, he lands it back down. Now it's down to a science. Nobody questions whether it's going to come back down and land correctly because he's done it so many times now. And it's like, you keep listening to people, like if the people you surround yourself with are people who are constantly naysayers and say, well, it's never been done before, it's not possible. Like, again, they're living in, they said that in the 60s about getting to the moon, right? And so it's just like, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage everybody, just like I do my daughter, like, the game has changed. Like, when before have you been able to press a button and get in front of 1 million people?
Ridiculous.
You can do that today with Facebook. All you need is what, $10 per 1,000. So what's that? $1,000. You can probably get in front of 1 million people. Come on.
Insane. Let's talk about your journey and how you first started out in this whole marketing world. I know that you're the real estate king. Any realtor that wants more business needs to get to you as soon as possible. It needs to be a freaking foot race. But just talk about that journey and how that whole thing happened. And I know you go about it a very unique way. Your pricing structure is different than almost anyone I've ever met. And I want to know how you kind of came about that and, let you take it from there.
Okay, so I wanted to travel more with my daughter, which is how it started, because she was speaking, and I thought that was cool. And I thought, hey, instead of like investing in real estate locally, why don't I just like start a digital marketing agency? Because I fell in love with marketing in 2008 and 9-ish. When everybody was getting crushed in the real estate crunch. Nobody could buy or sell real estate, quote unquote. And so if you had to learn marketing in order to sell a house. And so I learned marketing to sell houses, right? Because it's like I had to sell the house, or Vito, who I owed 20% to when I was flipping the house, was coming after me, kind of thing, right? So, I mean, not that I couldn't take Vito. He has too many donuts. I do MMA now. He can't handle this. Anyways, that's a different story. So you learn to market, right? And so I started learning to market, and then I fell in love with it because it's so strategic, and it's I don't know why I love it. I just do. I love persuasion. I love marketing. I do. And so I started listening to that. So when my daughter took off, I'm like, I could run an agency, and I figured out, okay, I'm going to focus on real estate agents. And real quickly, I learned that real estate agents suck at business in general. They pay the $1,500, they get the fee, but they have no idea how to actually sell a house. Nobody teaches that to them, so it's not their fault necessarily. Yeah. They're just taught how to do the operational aspects. And so I made a decision as I saw lots of people wasting a lot of money on leads. I said, look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it so real estate agents only have to pay me when a deal closes. Now, I taught my daughter this a long time ago. People are always willing to pay you more for a result than they are to pay you up front and hope they get the result. That's a big piece. Now, it's a very scary piece to take on as a business. Because when I took on agents, I just thought I could give them leads, and then when I gave them the leads, they would close them, and when they got paid, they'd pay me. Well, that didn't happen for the most part, right? They got leads, they did nothing, and then called me and said, my leads suck. And my leads didn't suck because we're crushing it with the same leads. So I learned some things in there, but the point is getting paid for, somebody is always willing to pay you more on the back end once they get the money in their hand than they are to pay up front and hope they get the money, right? Yeah. And so what I do with real estate agents is we do all of the lead gen for them, and we do all the lead nurturing and follow-up. So all agents have to deal with is pre-qualified people who are ready to buy or sell their house, and we schedule an appointment for them to meet with them face-to-face. That's when they take the football. So I try and get it as far down the football field as possible so that all they got to do is carry it home.
So all they're doing is running red zone. That's it.
Yep. And that's what they're good at. They got into business to show houses, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't get into business to create leads. They didn't get into business to nurture leads. They got into business to talk to Susie who wants to buy a house, right? And so that's what we give them, Susie who wants to buy the house.